What's happening?
Why are we always talking to ourselves?
Start over.
This is a silent movie. Yes.
Were you muted again?
Apparently, the podcast muted me because I am not muted this time on my ends. All right.
All right. Do we have sound now?
Yes, we do. Daryl Paulette, Bedford Paranormal. Kim and James, Spirit-Led Paranormal.
Research.
I
think there's a research at the end of that. My notes at.
Brian, hey.
Mr. Elder.
Mama D.
Wonderful guitar player in the house.
Howdy. Thank you, James. As I was saying, I apologize for my demeanor. I've been running around like we're getting ready to leave out of town. I don't have any of my shit together. None, like whatsoever. I don't know what to do. But this is yard work hair, running around hair.
Yard work.
Oh, sorry. Some of us didn't get an opportunity to like go shower and get all pretty for the podcast.
20 seconds on the weed eater is not yard work.
I'm not going to Rolodex out to you guys my to-do list for today. Just know that I've been running around. He has been sitting there.
Doing yard work.
He mowed the grass. Thank you.
And did all 98% of the weed eating.
Hey, Amy.
Amy Jenkins paranormal in the house.
She did not get in the bathtub during the storm, but she did jump and run to her crate.
And whine.
Yes. And then Zuko ran around. Hey, Leah.
Leah, welcome. Good to see you again.
Yes, James, because he's already on my nerves in the first, what are we, 3 minutes in?
Listen, I was being romantic.
Ronnie Anderson, Bedford Paranormal Romantic.
I was being romantic. I was singing love songs to you and everything. I was in there jamming. I was in there talking about some you and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals, so let's do it like they do on the... that's a very romantic song.
You done?
Mm-hmm.
Guys!
Ronnie!
Real story, though. Sean has a birthday this week.
It's my birthday. We gonna party like it's my birthday.
Yep. He has a birthday in 3 days.
A born day.
3 days. 7-11.
Mom birthed a legend.
It's okay, Leah.
We missed you too.
Yes. Mama D has... No, Champ has not been back.
They must have made the repairs.
Hey, I was waiting for Leah to put up the big pink hands. Yes, if everybody
Leah,
can,
you are now a legend with that pink hand.
Join me in singing happy birthday. That would be great. Or not singing, saying. I'm not singing shit.
I like the mammal song. You and me, baby, ain't nothing but...
But guys, we got a pretty cool topic today. Uh-oh, Ronnie said Noah's birthday's also 7-11. Yes, 7-11.
Noah's a legend.
Legends were born on 7-11. Let Sean tell it.
That's right, legend.
I think he's a witch.
That would make me a warlock. Men cannot be witches. We are warlocks.
He's a witch.
Thank you, y'all. Thank you for the early born day wishes.
Yes.
I'll be sure to turn up a big glass of ice cold unsweet tea.
Sean is going to be sitting waterfront eating oysters on his birthday.
Eating all the oysters I can eat.
Yes. Yes, lucky numbers. Everybody's wishing you happy birthday. I love it. Love it. Love it.
Appreciate the early born days, y'all. Appreciate it.
But without further ado,
these peanuts are really good.
You got to shake them in your hand.
Oh, yeah. I'm turning
Michelle Wilfong, the Haunted Apartment.
Michelle, good to see you.
Yeah.
I'm turning the age where I got to do this before I eat the peanuts.
Yeah, he's got to shake them in his hand.
And do this.
That's why you're choking. That's why you're choking.
I didn't choke.
That's what you get. All right, guys, tonight's topic. This is a topic that has been a subject of debate for a really, really long time. A lot of you might have seen my reel already. I kind of put feelers out there. But tonight's topic is reincarnation. Reincarnation.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Hey, Jess.
Yes. How you doing? Beyond the badge in the
That's
house.
right. The Hare and Mrs. Hare are here. Debbie.
The Hare family.
Yes. Sam from Wyoming.
AKA Dinner with a Ghost. And y'all are still...
G-Tops.
Y'all are still...
G-Tops. Ghost Town Operations. G-Tops.
And you're still the Haunted Opticon Mansion to me.
Yes, Ronnie. Another debate topic. We would not have our show if we did not get into a debate.
We're always arguing in here.
Here's how it's going to go. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit of structure, though. I'm going to hit you guys with some definitions for those that might not know. You guys know that I'm all about research, facts,
with the boo wow, and
myths, etc. So I'm going to hit you with some definitions. Sean has inspired the neighborhood to cut their grass, so I'm going to apologize in advance because why everybody decided at 8 o'clock to cut their grass right now, I don't know.
They saw me doing it. Told them 11.
But, yes. All right. Ma brings up a good topic. I do believe I've been here before. Anyway, I'm going to hit you with some definitions, some facts. Then I'm going to hit you about with some misconceptions. And then a really weird, odd theory. And then we're going to open it up. I'll do this quickly because I absolutely want... You dropped your nuts? I want everybody's opinion on this. Lois Clark. Sweetheart. Okay, reincarnation, for those that don't know, is also known as rebirth or transmigration.
Trans what?
Migration.
Oh.
Okay, there you go, Brandon. It's a witch. All right. It is the philosophical or religious concept that the non-physical essence of a living being begins a new lifespan in a different physical form or body after biological death. Okay, that is the scientific definition of reincarnation. In most beliefs involving reincarnation, the soul of a human being is immortal and it does not disperse after the physical body has perished. So upon death, the soul merely transmigrates into like a newborn baby or into an animal in order to continue its immortality. Mm-hmm. I can just hear the debate happening as I speak. Okay.
I'm gonna be quiet.
The number one question that I have been looking up and seeing a lot of content on recently is how long does it take for you to reincarnate after death? All right. So if you're looking for a specific number, I found a quote that might be more useful. And when I read this quote, I was like, damn. All right.
Right.
Yeah, Ronnie, there is. You gotta like click on the link and have a quiz on Facebook and then all of a sudden enter your email address and get spammed with 500 emails. But the quote goes as follows. There is no time schedule, and yet it is very unusual for an individual to wait for anything over 3 centuries between lives.
Good God.
For this makes orientation very difficult, and the emotional ties with Earth have become weak.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
So what do you do while you're waiting?
That's a good question.
You wait for... I'll tell you what you do. Here's what you do.
Here we go.
Is there anybody like to speak to me? This is Sean with Hill City Paranormal.
And then the spirit speaks back.
Is there anybody in here that wants to talk to me?
Get out. Because that would 10 out of 10 be my number one response. All right. But check this out. So I did a lot of research and I dove really deep into Dr. Ian Stevenson. Okay. He's a Canadian-born psychiatrist who has ties to our lovely state here. He was a professor at the University of Virginia School of Medicine for 50 years.
Good God.
He is best known for his research into evidence of reincarnation.
Oh, he's got evidence of this.
Evidence of it.
Oh.
Okay, scientific down to the science. Like, I actually got lost and forgot I had a podcast because I was, like, reading his book earlier. But the premise, reincarnation, he describes it as the premise that emotions, memories, and even physical bodily features can be passed on from one life to another. Over his 40 years of international research, He amassed over 3,000 cases of children, hear me out on this, children who claimed to remember past lives, theorized that the trauma of dying unexpectedly or the nagging feeling of having unfinished business triggered the personality of the next life to remember the past life more easily. Did you follow that? I tried to yes, Lois, he did write the book on reincarnation. All right. Brandon, if your soul did well, you come back quickly. If your lessons weren't learned, the soul goes into re-education. Just a theory. That is a good theory. I'm going to get into theories. Hey, Paul Fowler, North Carolina Coastal Plains.
What's up, Paul?
All right. So in most of his cases, it seemed as though the previous personality died only a short while before the next person was born. He believed that this might also explain why those people more readily remembered their past lives because they were so recently reincarnated, okay, by definition. So I'm going to go into a few. Do you have anything to say on that? Because I'm going to go into a few facts.
I'm just listening right now.
Yeah, a lot of it is kind of mind-blowing when you start digging into it. So there are 12 mind-blowing facts, okay, from scientists who study reincarnation. 1, 33% of Americans believe in reincarnation. I believe you fall into that don't believe category. All right. Research Center conducted a study on New Age beliefs and found that 1/3 of every American believed that they would be reborn into another body after death. They also found
This is why I don't believe in surveys right here.
That women were 1.4 times more likely to hold on to this belief than men. Men are non-believers.
That's because women are on Facebook more.
65% more people believe in reincarnation now compared to 20 years ago. Okay, so
social media.
Of course, reincarnation seems to be making a comeback. No pun intended, right?
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years.
All right. Let's see. Amy, so I've never really believed in reincarnation, but we miscarried before we had Buggy. He was about 4 and I was rocking him to sleep and he asked me, Mommy, do you remember when I was in your tummy and I left you? I went to see Gigi, Gaga, and Aunt Nita. Then I went back to Jesus and came back to you. He's 5 now and we've never told him about our miscarriage. That's pretty deep. John Sullivan, Fredericksburg Paranormal.
Sully.
Ronnie Anderson. I'm not here to prove anybody right or wrong on their belief. What I'm here to do is present facts, and then I'm going to turn around. I'm going to give you some misconceptions, and then I'm going to throw like a whole twist in there, okay? So, but maybe you'll change your mind after hearing some of the facts. We'll see. All right, 36% of Catholics believe in reincarnation. Reincarnation is central to a lot of religious beliefs. A lot of them are Eastern religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, things like that, okay? According to the study conducted by the Pew Research Center, 1 in 4 Protestants and 1 in 3 Catholics believe their soul will return to another body after death. 70% of people who remember a past life, this goes out to you, Amy, and your son, okay, 70%, but there is a 30, so I'm going to get to the 30%. Of people who remember a past life remember dying a very violent or unnatural death. So Dr. Jim Tucker, a psychiatrist and past life researcher at the University of Virginia that studied under Dr. Stevenson, discovered that the vast majority of the cases that he investigated involved people who remember past lives as men, not women. He wondered if gender had something to do with like why some people remembered living before. So upon further analysis of over 2,000 cases, he determined the cause was likely due to a different factor. 30% of the cases he studied involved a past life of someone who had died a natural death. These cases were evenly split between males and females, which reflected the general population. However, of the remaining 70% of cases where the past life ended in an accident or unnatural death, 73% of those involved males. So these percentages mirror death statistics almost perfectly. Far more men than women die unnaturally. Men tend to have more dangerous jobs, fight in wars, get into more bar fights, drive recklessly, things like that. So therefore, Dr. Tucker reasoned that someone may be more likely to remember a past life if inviolent or unnatural, such as men. Okay. 9% of people who remember a past life exhibit an unusual skill that was related to their former life. Okay, so researchers at the University of Virginia Division of Perceptual, I worked on saying this word prior to the damn podcast, perceptual studies found that nearly 1 in 10 people who remember a past life exhibit a skill related to that former life. So I guess in like your instance, if you play guitar in this life and you're reincarnated to the next life, the next vessel that you would inhabit would remember playing guitar or, remember the song Lights Out. Okay. Let me see if I've caught up on some comments here. I don't believe in reincarnation, but I will not argue with anyone who believes. Interesting experience, Amy. Ronnie Rickard,
Hey,
Middletown
Middletown?
Paranormal.
Brother Ronnie in the house. All right.
Ronnie, I'm going to get to that, Ronnie Anderson. I will get to that, okay? Because there is some myths that surround that. Okay, James said men can't remember shit, so I don't believe a man can reincarnate. This may be true. All right. 35% of people who remember dying accidentally in a past life have an extreme fear of dying the same way again. So again, many of these cases, almost all the cases that were studied here at UVA. Okay. So basically, if they were murdered or killed in a past life, I don't know, let's say flying a plane or, I don't know, bungee jumping. Okay. They're going to have extreme PTSD or like some kind of paralyzing fear of that event. Okay. They exhibit a lot of avoidant behavior. So for example, like refusing to fly on planes or an exaggerated startle to loud noises if they like passed away at war. All right. 26% of people who remember a past life demonstrate some other form of ESP. I thought this one was interesting when I read it. So they're now saying that there's a potential link between past life memory and clairvoyance. I thought that was interesting. 20% of people who remember a past life believe they'd lived as a deceased family member. Amy, there you go. That one goes out to your son a little bit. Psychologists who study people claim to remember past lives have documented many instances of supposed reincarnation within the same family.
I think me and Ronnie talked about that.
Maybe.
I think so.
So there was a psychiatrist named Dr. Weiss. He hypothesized that we may have what's considered a soul family, which is a cluster of spirits that were drawn to life after life after life. Okay. A soul family. I think the people in this podcast are our soul family. I like that. You guys are my soul family.
Let my soul glow. We're blurry.
Oh, why? What walked in front of the camera?
Started talking about soul family.
You said, let my soul glow.
No,
you're going to have to fix it. I can never fix it.
I was talking about the song, Let My Soul Glow.
Oh, wait, it fixed. When you moved.
It's the power of the hand.
It's the power of the you.
It's the power of the hand. I had to let my soul glow. Yeah. My soul had to glow.
All right.
Yeah.
So, 58% of people who remember drowning in a past life have an extreme fear of water. This goes back to a previous kind of mind-blowing fact. 23% of people who remember a past life believe they once lived as a different gender.
Oh, Lord. Next.
Okay. The individual that is strongly associated with the gender of their remembered past life personality has like evidence for like a universal soul so that it can express itself as any or all genders, regardless of the body's anatomical gender.
That's going to start an argument.
That's okay. 20% of people who remember a past life also remember something from the time between death and rebirth. So sometimes people report having witnessed the funeral of their own past life identity. And there is several that have accurate details that seemed impossible for them to have known. Others described a more like in-depth experience into a sort of spirit realm while in between lifetimes. According to Dr. Tucker, one boy claimed he had met a distant relative who died many years before while in this realm, waiting to be reborn. In another case, a child claimed he had been chosen, or he had chosen rather, his mother while watching her vacation in Hawaii more than a year before the woman ever even became pregnant. 2% of people who remember a past life can accurately describe their previous funeral. So that's about 25 out of 1,100 cases of people.
So they're implying that you can watch your funeral
if you're reborn.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So basically, while this is a super low number and it's rare, this phenomenon is no less fascinating. Again, like I said, 25 out of 1,100 cases of people remembering a past life shared eerily accurate details of their previous identity's funeral. They claim to have been there, watched the ceremony unfold, even though they no longer inhabited their former body. So, according to the extensive research that was documented by the late Dr. Ian Stevenson, one girl named Ratana was upset because her family had scattered the ashes of her former identity rather than burying them. She even knew the exact precise spot where the ashes were scattered under the bow tree inside the temple complex.
I'm sorry, I had to laugh. So you mean to tell me, like, because like we scattered ashes, you don't know which part goes where. So she's like, my head's over here, my legs.
No, she just said this is where they scattered the ashes. She didn't say this is where my body is. Lord.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to take this seriously.
Look. Your mom is singing.
Let your soul glow.
Oh my God. Of my extreme fears is dying in a house fire. My great grandmother did just that. Died in the fire because she wanted to get dressed. Because she didn't want people to see her in her nightgown after she got the children out. Something to think about, Debbie. I did a past life regression and was a Cherokee woman that was shot in the back and killed. Ronnie, I'm not going there with you. Not going there.
See, Ronnie, we might be related somehow. That's why I was thinking.
This is not a political podcast, people.
But I don't want to upset.
But
people.
It could.
I don't want to upset nobody.
All right.
So thoughts on reincarnation. How many people believe it? We see a lot of comments, but who actually believes in the theory of reincarnation? I'm I know you say, I keep losing my voice.
I don't know. I am not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure the people come back.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not completely on the side of no. Because I don't know. What do I always say? Those of y'all have been watching for a long time. What do I always say? We're going to find out everything one day.
Yep.
That's what I say. But strongly on the fence of, I think, has it happened? Possibly. I think anything's possible. I think the God that I serve is very powerful and can do some miracles and stuff like that. If it is real and if it does happen, I don't think it's common. I don't think everybody respawns, so to speak. I play Call of Duty. Big fan of it. Every time you die, you respawn. I don't think it happens that way. But do I think that there are certain times or certain things that come back as something else? Maybe so. I think it's a possibility that it's happened before. It's a possibility that it could happen. But do I think it's one of those things where we all are going to come back as something else or someone else? No, I don't think that at all. I don't believe that. I don't believe that, these people who call themselves scientists who study this and tell you that this happens. And I don't believe everybody who says that they've been reincarnated, it happens. That's just my personal opinion. Those are my 2 cents. Take it for what it's worth.
Hey, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. All right. So, basically, as I said, a soul is reborn into a new body. There's a lot of things that this dives into ancient roots. Reincarnation beliefs date back to ancient civilizations in Egypt, Greece, India. These cultures had rich traditions, stories about souls that returned in new forms, hieroglyphics that were recorded on walls, things like that. Hinduism and Buddhism, reincarnation is a core belief. Okay. Hindus believe in the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Buddhists see it all as a path to enlightenment. Okay. Both Hinduism and Buddhism link reincarnation to karma. Good or bad actions in one's life will affect the circumstances of the next. So, I mean, it's much like now, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right? While reincarnation is often seen as a spiritual belief, some researchers have attempted to study it on a scientific level. These studies have produced some fascinating findings.
How can you scientifically, though, study reincarnation?
You would have to read Dr. Ian Stevenson's book.
I'm not reading that.
Okay. His work remains one of the most extensive studies on reincarnation, with over 2,500 cases of children claiming past life memories. Also, Stevenson found that some of these children had birthmarks or physical traits that corresponded to the injuries or marks of their alleged past lives. Also, he found a lot of cultural consistency. Many children's past life memories included details consistent with historical facts, even when the children had no prior knowledge of any of these details. There's a lot of scientific backing on that.
Does that make it scientific, or does that make it, try to find the right words here? That doesn't, to me, again.
Good point, Amy.
What's the point? I agree with you on that, Amy. Yeah. I mean, again, how do you scientific? Because, I mean, I've got marks on me. I'm going to get to that, James. Birthmarks. People talk, I've heard people even reference birthmarks as to, something that happened in the past. I'm pretty sure, I covered it up now with ink, but I've got a mark on my hand. I'm pretty sure I could find a family member who scratched their hand. For example, my great grandfather died in a wagon accident. I'm pretty sure I could relate an injury on me somewhere to that. Maybe. So, I mean, does that mean I reincarnated as him?
All right. So Brian said, people have said for years, musicians who died in plane crashes, Skynyrd, Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, Patsy Cline, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Otis Redding, etc., have all been reincarnated. They were restless spirits, and I lean towards that.
Brian Elder has spoken.
That's right. Ronnie Anderson. Well, if we come back as a newborn, the newborn's brain is a sponge. It soaks up all conversation, all TV shows, and information. So the new brain may process things heard way before they're able to communicate. But if you dig into, this is a good point.
Might be onto something with that, Ron.
It is a good point. But if you dig into, and I actually read a small excerpt from his book prior to this show. If you dig into his book, these were details that are not publicized, not on television. Like, they were able to point out placement of furniture in a home that was bombed in Germany or something like that. It was crazy off the wall details that nobody would have. Okay. I have a hard time believing in something like this, but it's interesting.
It's now I agree with Ronnie and Daryl on that. It is very interesting.
I'm glad you're back, Paul.
It is something to look into. But when Ronnie was talking about a newborn processing things her way before they're able to communicate, I think about myself a lot. I'm like the black sheep. I really am the black sheep of the family. If you knew who my family was, both sides, I'm an oddball. I listen to country music and I listen to rock. I listen to all kind of weird stuff. But my mother listened to all kind of weird music. She listens to a lot of the stuff that I listen to. So when growing up, people wonder, why do you listen to all this weird stuff? Well, talking to my mom as I get older, I'm like, Mom, how do you know that song? And, stuff that I like that I never thought she would even know about or listen to. It's starting to make sense that this is stuff she listened to when she was pregnant with me.
Yeah.
Even my dad, I'll listen to stuff that I would be around the time that he should be listening to that stuff and know what it is. And he doesn't listen to it. He hates it. But my mom loves it. So it makes sense because that's what she would listen to while he was at work, while she's cleaning or doing whatever.
Well, they say, like, put headphones on, like, your belly when you're pregnant. Or, like, a lot of the time, like, the dad will talk to the newborn, like, through the mother's stomach, things like that. A lot of the time, and not to dive too deep into this theme, but if you have an active father in your daughter's life that spoke to, and this is for the women out there, that spoke to her while she was in your womb, guarantee you today she's a daddy's girl.
I don't know, man. Nah, are you a daddy's girl?
Nah, as a daddy's girl.
She said no.
All right. So, reincarnation in popular culture. Guys, pop culture. There are books and novels, movies, TV shows, and music that all references reincarnation. Just a little fun fact in there. Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen and Karma Police by Radiohead both touch on themes of reincarnation and karma.
I just killed a man.
Films like
we can't say killed, can we?
Unalived.
Sorry, YouTube.
Films like The Reincarnation of Peter Proud and TV shows like Doctor Who.
Peter Proud
have captivated audiences with reincarnation themes.
That sounds like a chant you'll hear.
Then just kind of touching on reincarnation across different cultures. There are some African tribes that believe in reincarnation, viewing it as a way for ancestors to return and then guide the living. Huge in Native American cultures. Certain Native American tribes hold that souls can reincarnate within the same family, ensuring the continuation of wisdom and tradition.
So they were talking about that in Gettysburg.
Yep.
That's why Gettysburg is so haunted.
Yep.
A lot of people think it's the battlefield is what makes and all the bloodshed, but it's really the crystals.
Yep.
And the belief of the blood and the crystals and the Native American soul, the respawn.
The respawn. We talked about that.
The respawn. Yeah.
The one I found most fascinating, guys, was the Celtic tradition. Ancient Celts believed in reincarnation. They saw it as a natural part of life's cycle, with the soul returning to learn a new lesson. And I was like, learn a new lesson. Let me dig into this, right? So let's say you were just like a POS in your current life and you pass away. Like, they see it as a natural part of life cycle. Like, okay, well, he died. It's cool. He'll be back because this time he's going to learn his lessons from his previous life and be better in this new life. That's their true belief. So that's their belief. I thought that was a little bit fascinating.
What did they never learn?
They might not. Then they'll keep dying and coming back. In today's world, though, guys, reincarnation continues to evolve. There's new interpretations and beliefs that are emerging. There is past life regression therapy, which Lois kind of touched on earlier. Some therapists use hypnosis to help individuals explore past lives, aiming to resolve current life issues by uncovering past life trauma or experiences. Excuse me. I had lost my voice for a second. So yeah, I thought that was super interesting. But let me catch up on some comments. If wisdom has anything to do with it, I won't be reincarnated. Lois said she read to her girls. So yeah. So do you ever ask yourself, have I ran into someone who's been reincarnated?
No.
This was my question. I wanted to know. Okay. There are 9 signs that you have encountered a reincarnated soul. All right. So as Sean likes to say, go ahead, Sean, with me.
Energy never dies. It's transferred back and forth endlessly, taking many shapes in different dwellings. But I don't never say that.
You don't, but you do.
Once energy escapes an expired body, it seeks a new vessel. I've never said that.
No, I didn't say it's right there. That was your first one. Energy never dies. Sean preaches that all the time, okay? So, as Sean said, once energy escapes an expired body, it seeks a new vessel. The soul that adored you cannot wait to come back into your life, many times with similar purpose. He or she might look different, but the same unmistakable spirit will radiate forth. Okay. So again, do you ever wonder if the soul of your loved one has taken on a new form? There are 9 telltale signs. 1, they left before their time. If your loved one dies suddenly or tragically, they left unfinished business. If you believe they passed before their proper time, their spirit will reincarnate ASAP. They will be reborn into a circle where they felt most loved, but also into situations that allow them to resolve whatever was left open. A lot of scientific evidence surrounding this is moms that pass away and leave behind small children or children that aren't adults yet. Okay. So there's a lot of times they will reincarnate into something to where they can keep an eye on or ensure that their children are being raised properly. Okay. Language. The reincarnated soul may use the same figures of speech or vocabulary as the person who passed on. Mannerisms. People around you, the new being will appear to behave like the person who's gone, regardless of age or gender. All right. People around you may also feel the comfort and like recollection of a soul they've known before, pointing out uncanny resemblances to the one who's passed. Like, that's crazy. You've got the same nose or something, which goes into physical characteristics. So it's given that children will look like the parents and grandparents, but one dead giveaway of a reincarnated soul is being born with a unique physical feature that only the person who passed on possessed, such as a birthmark or a mole. Okay. And their eyes. They say that eyes are the windows to the soul, and for good reason. All right. When someone can't speak or speaks a different language, we absorb emotion and understand intention just by looking into somebody's eyes. If you look at a child or an animal and kind of like get that warm and fuzzy familiar feeling, you may be looking into the eyes of a soul you've known for a really long time. All right, let's see. Lois said with astrology, it is the North Node and South Node correlation in the house. I did not ask GPT. I removed GPT because I was way too fascinated with that. Who pays attention to all that in everyday life? Ronnie, not a whole lot of people, but if you are aware of your spiritual surroundings, there may be something that catches you off guard where you're like, this person has an uncanny resemblance to somebody I may have known that passed on. So synchronicity, again, timing, it's never a coincidence, guys. Nostalgia, a big clue that your loved one has rematerialized is that you're overcome with like a sense of nostalgia. You've got memories that, are almost overwhelming, places, times, events, scents. True story, guys. When my mom first passed away, I came back to Virginia. Her favorite scent is gardenia. I have not seen a gardenia flower or smelled it or bush or whatever you call it. I don't know. Here in Virginia since I've lived here. And I would be walking around the house and just get like a familiar scent. Or I remember one instance in particular, I was walking in a store and a woman passed by me and I got a whiff of that scent and it made me stop in my tracks and kind of turn and look like that was weird. I kept moving, obviously, because I'm not going to be like, ma'am, excuse me, were you my mother in a past life? Because that's stalkerish and creepy. But yeah, just kind of walk over. Can I smell you? No. But it's one of those things that's going to catch you off guard. Like, that's familiar. Patterns. Patterns. Okay. A reincarnated soul may be born into similar circumstances or have to live through events that are parallel with its prior life. This serves as an opportunity to break the cycle, close out old karma, things like that. And they finally fill the void. All right. You may feel a persistent void since your loved one left that nothing, not even, the love and comfort of neighbors and friends and family has been able to fill. That's because that inner space can only be replenished by that one unique presence of the one who's passed on. Perhaps that's a good indication that you've been reunited with your loved one if that painful gap finally closed. You know, instead of like having a lingering emptiness, now you feel full again, almost satisfied. So those are 9 signs that you can kind of be on the lookout for. All right. So moving along, I wanted to obviously, with the facts and things like that, throw in some misconceptions. Few quick ones I'll just touch on really quick. Reincarnation is exclusively a religious belief. That is a very common misconception. And I mean, while certain religions emphasize reincarnation, it is a universal idea that transcends. So, and then to answer the question that was asked twice in chat, reincarnation means you're coming back as an animal. All right. Many people mistakenly believe that reincarnation only allows for a soul to be reborn as an animal. But in reality, reincarnation encompasses a wide range of possibilities. You could be reborn as another human being, as a plant, a mineral. Mom's going to be reincarnated into a plant or mineral in some belief systems. The nature of one's next life often depends on the karmic lesson that was learned in your past life and your spiritual evolution. So while animal reincarnation is indeed a belief held by a lot of people, including myself prior to digging into this, it is not the sole or definitive outcome of this process. Okay. Let's see. Well, one thing I've always wondered is for everyone that dies, a new baby is born. So do you think that is part of the cycle? So that is a common theory, Daryl, that I've heard a lot without pulling actual birth and death statistics. I do believe that birth surpasses the death statistic, or am I backwards?
I believe that's what it is.
I think it's something crazy. It's like 10 to 1 birth to death. So that's where I struggle with that theory, only because, it would make sense if like somebody passed away at 10:01 p.m. and somebody was born at 10:01 p.m. and then somebody passed away at 10:02 and somebody was born at 10:02. You know what I'm saying?
It might
I'd be more apt. Well, I'm sure, but there's also 10 other people. My grandfather was shot and killed running whiskey while my grandmother was pregnant with my mom. She never knew him. My grandmother always said I'm just like him. I've always felt a connection to him, and I think family reincarnation is a real possibility, and it is. It is. Ronnie, you know what?
Ronnie, because
I'm gonna send a note up to the man upstairs and tell him Ronnie wants to be a duck. Wouldn't it population stay the same though instead of increasing? Well, that's what I'm saying, Debbie. You're right. That is a good point to that. So I want to say the birth statistics are higher than the death statistics. So yeah. So another common misconception: you are always reborn into a higher state. All right. Another misconception about reincarnation is that you automatically are just pushed on to a higher state of being or consciousness. Many belief systems do suggest that the soul evolves over lifetimes based on like one's experiences, lessons learned. But this evolution is not guaranteed. If one fails to learn important lessons or engages in negative behaviors, they may find themselves reincarnated into a less favorable circumstance. That's just the crude reality of it. Reincarnation serves both as a means of spiritual growth and as a reminder of the consequences of one's actions. I thought that was super fascinating. Reincarnation, another misconception. Reincarnation guarantees memory retention from past lives. Guarantees it. That's the key word. Okay. It's often believed that individuals will recall their past lives after reincarnating. However, most people do not retain their memories from previous existences. This lack of memory serves several purposes. It allows individuals to be able to start over without preconceived notions or biases, which promotes personal growth in your current life. Some practitioners of regression therapy claim to access past life memories through hypnosis, but these experiences are very subjective and not universally accepted, okay, as evidence. Reincarnation only applies to humans. This is going to answer Mom's question. That is a myth. Many people think reincarnation exclusively pertains to human beings. This assumption overlooks various interpretations across cultures, suggesting that all living beings, humans and animals alike, can experience reincarnation. In certain traditions, every aspect of creation is interlinked through the cycle of life and death, indicating that all life forms will undergo this transformation journey based on their karma and spiritual progression. Okay, I want to touch on that for a second. I had a cat. Never forget this story as long as I live. I had a cat. This cat was killed. We were cleaning the carpets. We had lifted the mattresses up and like leaned them on the wall so the carpet cleaner could come in, right? And the cat ran up the mattress fell, bam, cat dead. All right. This was a black and white cat. My mom cried her eyes out. She opened the door the very next morning. There was a black and white kitten sitting right there on the porch and looked identical all the way down to patterns and everything, a mannerism, demeanor. You couldn't tell my mom that wasn't her cat that died. You could not tell my mom that. Okay. True story. My mom genuinely believed the cat was reincarnated. I already said that. Okay. I want my Washingtons to come back as Benjamins. You know what? Me too. Me too.
I second that.
Okay. So this is all theory. How does someone have facts? Like Sean said, how do you research this and say something in theory is a fact? Ronnie, all I know is there was a study conducted of over 2,500 children. I have yet to get this book. I am going to get this book to find out exactly, because I have the same question actually. Like, what kind of research did you do, right? But there is research being done still to this day. Dr. Stevenson conducted over 50 years of research into reincarnation. He was a professor at UVA. There are still classes that study this reincarnation theory. I'm going to put theory out there just because we're not 100% sure. So, Sean always tells me it's better to, shut my mouth and than to open it and sound stupid or something.
Keep your mouth closed and let people think you're dumb. Then open your mouth up and let people know that you are.
Right now, I'm just spitting random facts at you guys. Honestly, I cannot honestly answer how this research was conducted. End of story.
Spitting random theories.
Yes. I'm young, I'm old, I'm rich, I'm poor. I feel like I've been on this earth many times before.
It's a song.
I can tell. All right. Finishing up with the misconceptions. Karma works like a scorecard. That's a misconception. All right. Karmic influences depend on various factors, including intentions behind actions, context of one life choices, things like that. Another common misconception, you have unlimited chances to get it right. You should just reincarnate 500,000 times. Like, you're good to go. Like, oh, messed it up this time. Next. Next. All right. Some people think that there are infinite opportunities for reincarnation until one achieves spiritual perfection. Many traditions support the idea of multiple lifetimes for growth and learning. There's often an emphasis on the importance of using each life we're given wisely. The perspective encourages individuals to engage fully with their current existence rather than saying, ha, it's cool, I'll fix it next life, right? Because then at that point, you're creating issues for your future lives. The notion that time is limited, that each life holds significance, adds urgency to the quest for self-improvement. Another misconception, reincarnation necessitates a linear timeline. Okay, what this idea does is it challenges our understanding of time itself and opens up possibilities where souls can inhabit different bodies across various timelines concurrently. So there's a widespread assumption that reincarnation follows a straightforward chronological order. That is, you live one life after another in an unbroken sequence. Another. Okay. Common misconception, you get to choose your next life. That's pretty self-explanatory. You can't choose it. It is what it is. And a common misconception, reincarnation is just wishful thinking. Some skeptics label belief in reincarnation as mere wishful thinking. It is a comforting fantasy devised to alleviate fear surrounding death and existence after life ends. However, this perspective dismisses centuries worth of testimonies from those who claim to have experienced past life memories or insights gained through meditation and regressions dedicated to exploring these themes. So in conclusion, understanding misconceptions about reincarnation can also provide insight into its profound implications for personal growth and spiritual understanding beyond what society expects from such beliefs. Okay, so by recognizing its complexities, ranging from karma's nuances to how we perceive time, we as a whole can cultivate a greater appreciation for this ancient concept. And notice they called it an ancient concept. Whether you approach reincarnation from a religious standpoint or as a part of you just having a spiritual exploration or clearing up these misunderstandings will pave the way for you to be able to gain like a deeper reflection into your own journey towards enlightenment and self-discovery through lessons.
I'm just wondering who takes the time to sit and write all this.
Okay. Past lives
that's where I'm at with it.
Included.
Who writes this stuff?
Okay. Guys, here's my theory on reincarnation.
Who writes that stuff?
I honestly think this is true.
Okay, they must have a lot of time on that.
This is a true story, guys. I honestly 100% am not sure. That's where I stand with it. Like Sean says all the time, we really honestly don't know until we get there, right? We don't know what's going to happen until we get there.
Yeah, you'll get there. You know?
I will say that I've had some strange occurrences in my life that made me kind of question, like, is reincarnation real? I've seen some things. I feel like I've been to war, seen some things. But you know, honestly, I'm not sure. I do think it's a very fascinating topic. I think there's a lot of common misconceptions. I think there's a lot of interesting facts about reincarnation. I will say there were two things that I did read that made me chuckle. All right. One, takes 100 years to get reincarnated. You got to be dead for 100 years before you get reincarnated.
You don't even live to be 100 years.
Like what?
Most people.
So you have to fly. This is all summarized, okay? You've got to fly through the spiritual realm for 100 years, just floating around trying to figure out like where you belong. And then once you figure out, it takes you 100 years to figure out where you belong, by the way. And while you're flying through this like other dimension, you're going over memories, recollections of loved ones, past trauma, you're healing, you're on a journey. It takes you 100 years to get to the end of this journey, and then boom, you're dropped out of the sky. Y'all ever seen that cartoon? What's that cartoon where the guy comes out the sky?
I don't know.
Damn, it's on the Netflix or whatever. Remember, he starts out as a young kid and then he has a receding hairline.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
That's literally what I thought of when I read that. I forgot what that darn thing is.
It's got that song in it. Yeah, what's the matter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he starts out as a young kid and then goes through like his whole adulthood and like parenthood and everything, like flying through the sky. So this is that theory. Then there is another one that I was super fascinated in. So there's an old Indian tradition that says if one has witnessed 1008 full moons, which is 84 years, you're not going to be reborn. That's it. If you're over the age of 84, you might as well throw reincarnation on out the window.
How do they know that?
Okay. It's a belief. Okay. Brian said, I will ask one question. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me go up here. So in other words, there's no heaven or hell, just purgatory. What's the definition of purgatory?
I don't know the definition of it.
Webster's definition, I don't know, but purgatory is basically judgment. So I don't think that reincarnation is talking about judgment. As far as Webster's dictionary definition, I don't have that off the top of my head.
I don't have the definition of it, but
purgatory is to be in judgment, like a state of judgment. Brian said, I will ask one question. If everything is reincarnated, where does heaven and hell fit into it? Again, theory. I'm going to go with theory there. It depends on your belief. So you've got Christianity over here that believes in heaven and hell. You're going to one place or another. Then you've got the Buddhists over here that say, you know, your soul has left this vessel and it's moving on to the next one. We don't know when, but if you're over the age of 84, you might as well pack you up, son. You get no reincarnation. You done lived your life. And actually, I started to watch this video of this old Indian monk guy, right? And he had some good points. Like, he said the main source of energy for this planet is the sun, and your body is just a piece of the planet. So the sun's influence upon everything that is in the world is big, but the moon, which has no way of emitting energy like the sun, also has a tremendous impact on our system because of its closeness to the planet. So he was like going into like the cycles of the moon and like the biological cycles in the feminine body and things like that. So he said, you know, physiologically, our birth and our life is rooted on the planet.
At the end of the day.
And so the very source of our birth is connected to the movement of the moon. That's why they say a lot of the time, if your due date as a pregnant woman is cycling around like a full moon, get your bags ready.
This is why I say you can't call this science and you can't call this, you know, anything, because those of y'all who have stories, okay, of reincarnation, this is why you feel that it's real. This is what happened to you. I'm not doubting you. I just want to throw that out there. I'm not saying you're lying, because y'all are the family. Y'all are the reason why we have a show.
The soul family.
Y'all are the soul family. All right. Yeah, I said it. Soul glow. Y'all are the reason why we have a show, and I don't think y'all would lie to us. So I'm telling y'all, believe you. But here's the thing. Let's say I'm a dishonest person, right? Let's say they're doing a study and they come and ask me, because nobody's asked me anything. All the information that I'm giving you, I'm willingly doing this every Tuesday night. Everything that I'm telling you, these are our thoughts, right? So let's say a scientist knocks on my door and says, hey, we're doing research on reincarnation. Now, y'all just heard me say that I really don't believe much about reincarnation. But let's say a scientist knocks on my door and I want my 5 seconds of fame. And I say, yeah, I believe I've been here before, which I've said that before. I may have been, but let's just say I want my 5 seconds of fame. And I say, yeah, I feel like I'm an old blues man. I feel like I've been here before. I feel like, my guitar playing skills came from somebody that's been here. And, haven't
you said this before?
I have said it before. It'd be a great song. So let's say that's my story and I'm sticking to it, because I do have a grandfather who was supposedly a blues musician. And let's say I rolled with that. He's going to take that information and document it. And that's his evidence of what the theories that are coming out about reincarnation. Even though I just sat here and said that I don't believe in it, but if I gave him that story, that's the data that he's entering into this. So how's that science? How's that fact? And how's that proving anything?
Without reading his entire book, I don't know.
But people will literally get on the internet and read this stuff and say, oh man, this is evidence of reincarnation, because Sean Elliott Jr. said his grandfather was a musician. He's a musician. He picked up a guitar one day and just started playing it. What I left out in that statement was I looked on YouTube and picked up guitar chords. Well, I didn't look up YouTube much, but I picked up a book of guitar chords and taught myself how to play it for hours. And that's how I learned how to play. But what I told that scientist was my grandfather played, so I picked up the guitar and started playing. So a lot of this stuff and information, and like if you read this stuff that we've been reading, these people are writing this stuff like they know hands down that this stuff is real, and these are facts. And this is the pretty much the know all tell all on reincarnation. There's no real proof on it, so again, I can't. But it goes with everything that we talk about and do. Everything is theory. I believe science in general is theory. One of my favorite movies is called The Happening, and Mark Wahlberg, when he was trying to figure out why people are just automatically unaliving themselves.
Unalived.
I said it because I remember I looked at the YouTube thing, and he said, you know, all science is a theory. He said, at the end of the day, it's a theory. So everything that we do is a theory, but without hard evidence and hard unexplainable evidence. Even when those of you who've investigated with me on the paranormal side of things, when a REM pod goes off, it's cool. You know, when a light goes off or our equipment goes off, that's cool. It makes me turn my head and look. But what do I look for? I look for the unexplained, the hardcore evidence of something happening. Something has to move unexplainably. Something has to, I need to hear that voice. I need to see that shadow. Something unexplained has to happen. With reincarnation, we don't see it unless, you know, unless Courtney all of a sudden is unalived and then her body comes back and stands in front of me into my face.
Purification, that's what it is.
Then
not judgment.
There's no real proof. Or unless something happens to her, God forbid.
Thanks, Debbie.
We don't want to speak bad, but if something happens to her and then this other person shows up completely different and Courtney can tell me everything about myself, this person can tell me everything about myself, and she says, I was Courtney in my past life. At that point, you know, that might scare the hell out of me.
Yeah.
But until something like that happens, and I just can't roll with the whole theory. I've never met somebody who
had past life
stuff.
Yeah.
It just hasn't happened enough for me to really go on that whole theory. You know, the whole, you know, do I believe that it's possible? I mean, I've had dogs and stuff that I felt human connection with. I currently have a dog that when my other dog passed.
Yeah, you think he's a skinwalker.
I do feel like he's a skinwalker. We'll get into that subject one day, skinwalker. But I do have a dog
for next week.
I do have a dog currently. When Zeus passed away, this dog came along and his behavior is very human-like. He literally sits and watches TV and he sits up on the couch in a very strange way that dogs typically don't
He leans like this.
He literally sits up with his arm on the couch, and if I call his name, he just turns and looks at me like, why did you just interrupt my TV show? And then turns back and looks at the TV. And if I say, Zuko, get over here, he'll literally get off the couch and slowly walk towards me, pissed off at me because I interrupted his TV show. This dog watches TV with me. He rides in the car like a human. He sits up in the seat. So, I mean,
that's true.
Could he be reincarnated, maybe?
He might be.
He might be. I don't know. But until I see real hardcore evidence of reincarnation, I just can't roll with it.
Well, guys, in conclusion, okay, I'm about to bust everybody up. Reincarnation has never been scientifically proven. All right, I just want to make that clear.
That's a good one, Ronnie.
Okay. Yeah, we can do graveyards.
We'll do both of them. We'll do graveyards and skinwalkers.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe in skinwalkers either.
So again, reincarnation, guys, is not scientifically proven. It is just considered a matter of faith or spiritual belief, much like, you know, the Bible or your religion. If you believe in your Bible, that is what it is. There's a lot of reasons why reincarnation has been difficult to prove. One, there's no physical evidence that nobody has seen somebody die and then spawn over into another human or animal or anything like that. Okay. There's also no universally accepted definition. The concept of reincarnation varies across religious and belief systems, making it really hard to like establish a universally accepted definition. And then there's also been even if a child reports memories of a past life, verifying the accuracy of those memories with like historical records and other evidence is very challenging and sometimes turns out to be very inconclusive. But the kind of evidence that does exist today, again, it's not considered proof, is past life memories of children. Notably, like I mentioned before, Dr. Ian Stevenson, he has documented cases of young children who spontaneously recall details of a past life, names, locations, events, etc. phobias, attachments, like I spoke about, religious and philosophical perspectives. So basically, again, in conclusion, while the concept of reincarnation has been explored through various avenues, including the study of past life memories in children, it remains unproven by scientific standards. So it is generally viewed as a matter of personal belief and spiritual interpretation rather than a scientifically established fact. So that should take everything that you just said and kind of throw it out there. Again, this is all about beliefs, your personal belief. If you believe that you're going to die and become a duck, like Ronnie said, you might just so pass on. I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna laugh if a duck shows up on my doorstep after Ronnie passed away.
It says you saw it with your own two eyes. Quack, quack.
Yeah.
Just don't do it during duck hunting season.
Lord. But yeah, guys, if you have any more questions or, you have any more theories that you want to plug into our inbox, feel free to send us a message. I do highly recommend reading Dr. Ian Stevenson's book. It is very fascinating what I did read about like past life recall in children. I always talk about being fascinated with the psychological and philosophical side of paranormal and like other realms, other dimensions, things like this. This all goes hand in hand, guys. This all goes hand in hand. What if a Civil War soldier passed away and they got reincarnated? You're over here trying to ask him what unit he's in, but he got reincarnated into, I don't know, World War II. Or got reincarnated into a duck. You don't know.
Yeah, if y'all have any ideas
We're gonna do it, Ronnie.
Or topics that y'all want to talk about, please comment or inbox us and let us know.
Let me write this down. Graveyards.
But I know what Ronnie's talking about too with the new graveyards. If most of y'all know, especially if you're on my personal friends list, I have a lot of stuff with cemeteries, especially funeral homes too, that we can talk about. A lot of conspiracy around that. But those of y'all know a guy very close to me who his family ran a funeral home, passed away, and he was telling me a little bit about some of the conspiracy with funeral homes and stuff going on. So we can get into that. Definitely.
Ronnie, what do you want me to read? I'm so confused.
What are we reading, Ronnie?
What am I reading?
And Brian Elder, it's always great seeing you, brother.
Yes,
always.
Brian, thank you for popping in. James, Daryl, always a pleasure. Thank you to my soul family, my new soul family. Well, they're kind of like old new.
Some of them are older.
So you guys were family and you got reincarnated into soul family.
The soul family.
Guys, I'm Courtney.
I'm Sean.
We're Hill City Paranormal. And until next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will see you on the other side.